They were throwing a party for my replacement while security walked me out. Through the conference room glass, I could see Lindsay Brooks raising a champagne flute while everyone clapped. My 15 years of work was getting celebrated as someone else's fresh start. I'm Austin Rodriguez, 48 years old, and 30 minutes ago I was the Senior Traffic Systems Engineer at Urban Flow Dynamics. Now I'm getting the boot in the rain while they pop champagne for the woman who's gonna fix my mess. Look, I wasn't some rookie they could just toss aside. I'd spent 15 years building the most sophisticated traffic system this city ever had. But there I was, walking across the parking lot with a security guard on each side, my personal stuff in a soggy cardboard box. The guard on my left was Steve. We used to chat every morning about his grandson's baseball games. Now he wouldn't even look at me. "Sorry, Austin, just orders," he mumbled as I tossed my box into my truck. Through the rain, I could see my boss, Rachel Morrison, lifting her glass higher. I read her lips. She'll clean up his mess. 15 years of solving impossible traffic problems, and she called it a mess. Here's the thing. They'd been planning this for months. Lindsay Brooks, MBA from Wharton, designer suits, perfect PowerPoint presentations. She'd show up in meetings asking questions like, wouldn't a more standardized approach be efficient? Easy to sound smart when you've never dealt with real chaos. I sat in my truck watching the party continue. The windshield wipers couldn't keep up with the rain, but I could still see them celebrating. Rachel had made it clear. We need conventional approaches, modern methods. Translation. We don't understand what you built, so we're replacing you with someone who speaks corporate. The drive home gave me time to think. My system wasn't just code and algorithms, it was 15 years of learning how this city breathed. Traffic moved different when the high school had games versus when the university had graduation. Light rain changed everything compared to heavy downpours. Emergency vehicles could slice through gridlock if you knew which signals to adjust in what order. I'd poured my life into that system. Missed my daughter's college graduation fixing a critical bug. Worked through my divorce because the system needed constant attention. My ex-wife Sarah used to say I was married to the traffic grid, not her. Turns out she wasn't wrong. My apartment felt empty when I got home. No family photos anymore. Sarah took those when she moved out 2 years back. Just me, engineering books, and too many takeout containers from late nights at the office. 6 months earlier, things were different. The mayor toured our control center, watching my system handle rush hour like a conductor with an orchestra. Emergency response times down 25%. Traffic congestion dropped 18% citywide. "This is amazing," she said. "How's it work?" That was the problem. I couldn't explain it in ways that satisfied the board. Sure, there were algorithms and machine learning, but the real magic was in thousands of micro-adjustments based on experience. Patterns that took years to recognize. Stuff you can't learn in business school. Then Rachel hired Lindsay. "To support your workload," she said with that corporate smile. "The board wants fresh perspectives." Lindsay with her buzzword reports and color-coded presentations. Lindsay who somehow started appearing in meetings I wasn't invited to, who smiled sympathetically when I worked late while quietly documenting everything I did. You know what's funny? The first 2 days after they fired me, my phone stayed silent. They were probably celebrating their brilliant decision. The heart of the city's traffic management, my life's work, was now in Lindsay's hands. Day 3, it started. My phone lit up with Lindsay's name. I let it ring. 20 minutes later, again. By noon, she'd called 8 times. By evening, 15 calls. No voicemails, just desperate ringing. I sat on my couch that night, surrounded by old engineering notebooks. 15 years of problem-solving written down. I could picture Lindsay panicking as Monday's rush hour approached with a system she didn't understand. See, what they never got was that my traffic system wasn't software you could hand off. It was me. My way of seeing patterns, my understanding of how people move, my knowledge of every weird quirk in this city's setup. The system worked because I worked, because I'd put 15 years of experience into every line of code. My notebooks had equations and charts, sure, but not the invisible stuff that made it all work. Not knowing that Elm Street backed up different on rainy Tuesdays than rainy Thursdays because of school pickup times. Not understanding you had to pre-adjust downtown signals 12 minutes before events ended, not 10. That night I finally slept good. Phone stayed quiet. Morning brought 23 missed calls. I made coffee and watched sunrise through my window. For the first time in years, I had nowhere to be. No crisis calls at 5 a.m., no emergency patches to deploy, just quiet. Then Stephanie Wells called. She was the only junior engineer who survived last year's budget cuts. Her voice was shaky. "Austin, it's falling apart. The whole downtown grid locked up yesterday afternoon. Ambulances couldn't get through. They had to call helicopters for 2 medical emergencies." I didn't say anything, just listened to her breathing hard. "Lindsay keeps trying standard protocols, but she's making it worse. Rachel's freaking out. The mayor called an emergency meeting." "Sounds tough," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Tough? Austin, it's a disaster. The city's threatening to cancel our contract." "Well, I don't work there anymore," I told Stephanie. "Remember the security escort?" "Austin, please. Real people are getting hurt. Traffic accidents are up 30% because the signals aren't syncing." That hit me in the gut. Real people, not just Rachel with her corporate games or Lindsay with her stolen job. Regular folks trying to get to work, get their kids to school, live their lives. I hung up and walked to my window. The city spread out below, my city with its rhythm I'd spent 15 years learning. Hour later, my doorbell rang. Rachel Morrison stood there looking like she hadn't slept in days, hair messy, makeup smudged, dark circles under her eyes. "Austin," she said, trying to smile. "Can we talk?" I didn't move from the doorway. "About what?" "We're facing technical challenges with the system transition. Lindsay's brilliant, but she's hitting some unexpected variables in your architecture." I leaned against the doorframe. "My mess, you mean? Isn't that what you called it while toasting my replacement?" Her face went red. That was poor timing. "Was it, or exactly what you intended?" "Look, the city's experiencing severe disruptions. Emergency services are compromised. This is bigger than personal feelings." "True," I nodded. "Perfect opportunity for Lindsay to show off those modern approaches you were excited about." "Austin, please. We're prepared to offer you a consulting contract. Double your old salary. Just help us stabilize the system." I studied her. The woman who'd dismissed 15 years of my expertise, who watched me get escorted out like a criminal, who celebrated my replacement before my desk was cleaned. "No." "No? Just like that?" "Just like that. Same way you fired me." Her face hardened. "This isn't about wounded pride. Lives are at stake. They always were. That's why I worked 60-hour weeks perfecting that system while you cut my team to save money. That's why I missed my daughter's graduation. That's why my marriage fell apart." I kept my voice steady. "You never cared about lives when it was me sacrificing for them. I'll go to the board. I'll make sure you never work in this industry again." I smiled. "Go ahead. Tell them exactly how you mismanaged this transition. Explain why you fired the one person who understood the system without proper knowledge transfer. I'm sure they'll be impressed." After Rachel left, I turned off my phone and took a long, hot shower. Truth was, whatever Rachel and Lindsay deserved, the city didn't deserve to suffer. I spent that afternoon driving around downtown seeing what happened to my system firsthand. Traffic lights cycling randomly, cars backed up for blocks, horns blaring constantly. On 5th Street, I watched an old man wait 8 minutes for a pedestrian signal that never came. News trucks surrounded City Hall. Reporters standing in front of cameras. Day 4 of what officials call the traffic crisis, with no resolution in sight. By evening, I'd made my decision. Not for Rachel or Lindsay or the company. For the city. I called Stephanie back. "What exactly is happening with the system?" Her relief was obvious. Lindsay tried implementing her standardized algorithm package. Works fine in simulation, crashes under real conditions. She can't figure out why your code works in some areas, but fails in others. Because she's looking for consistent rules where none exist, I explained. The system's adaptive, organic. Every intersection has personality. That's what I tried telling her. She keeps saying your documentation is incomplete. I laughed. My documentation's thorough. She just doesn't understand what she's reading. Next morning, I got a text from unknown number. "Conference room B, City Hall, 2 p.m., please. Mayor Rivera." Mayor Monica Rivera looked exhausted when I arrived. Stress of a paralyzed city showed in every line on her face. "Thanks for coming," she said, standing to shake my hand. "I haven't agreed to anything," I reminded her. "I know. But you're here. which means you care about this city the same way you cared when you built a system that was supposed to transform how we manage traffic. She poured coffee. Urban Flow Dynamics is considering shutting down the system completely. Going back to the old traffic management. That hit me hard. My life's work scrapped. That'd be unfortunate, I managed. It'd be catastrophic, she corrected. Emergency response times up 40%. We've had 3 traffic fatalities that might have been prevented. Schools can't run buses on schedule. People can't get to work. I wrapped my hands around the warm mug. I understand I was treated poorly, but right now 800,000 people are suffering because the system you built, the system that worked perfectly, is failing without you. It's failing because they thought anyone could take over without understanding the underlying approach. I know, she said, and they were catastrophically wrong. But punishing them punishes everyone else too. She leaned forward. Help us fix this. Not for them, for the city. I can hire you directly as municipal consultant. Bypass the company entirely. They own the system. They licensed it to us. Right now, they're in breach of contract by providing non-functional infrastructure. We have legal grounds to bring in our own technical expert. For the first time in days, I felt something other than anger. A possibility. I'd need certain guarantees, I said slowly. Complete technical control, my name on the patents, and I choose my own team. Her eyes widened. You've been thinking about this? I'm always thinking. It's what I do. Done. Walking back to my truck, Stephanie texted, emergency board meeting tomorrow. Rachel saying entire system needs rebuilding. Lindsay blaming bugs in your code. I smiled. Of course. Because it couldn't be that Lindsay, with all her fancy credentials, simply couldn't understand what I'd built. Had to be sabotage. That night, organizing my notes for what was coming, Lindsay called one last time. Austin. Her voice tight, controlled. We need to talk. We're talking now. I know what you did. Missing protocols, confusing variable names. You set me up to fail. I laughed. You think I anticipated getting fired and deliberately created a system no one else could run? Then why doesn't anything work the way it should? Maybe it works exactly as it should. Maybe you just don't understand how it should work. Silence stretched between us on the phone. Finally, Lindsay's voice got smaller. I need your help. 3 words that must have cost her everything. I thought about her standing in the wreckage of what she'd confidently believed she could handle. Interesting. Week ago, you were explaining to the board how my methods were outdated. I was wrong. The system is beyond conventional understanding. No, it's beyond your understanding. There's a difference. People are suffering, Austin. Whatever you think of me, they don't deserve this. Same argument everyone kept making. Same weight on my shoulders. Fine. But not at your office. Public library, study room 3, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you. Don't bring anything. No laptops, no notes, just yourself. Library was quiet when I arrived. Lindsay sat stiffly in the study room, perfect hair pulled back, dark circles under her eyes. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Thanks for coming, she said as I sat down. Let's be clear. I'm not here to save your career. For the next hour, Lindsay detailed the cascading failures. More she talked. Clearer it became she'd tried forcing textbook solutions onto my organic architecture, like trying to control jazz improvisation with sheet music. It's not logical, she concluded, frustrated. Sections that should behave identically respond completely different to the same inputs. Because they're not identical, I said, turning my notebook toward her. You're treating the system like it's built on static algorithms when it's actually responsive to thousands of variables you're not even measuring. She stared at my diagrams. This isn't in any documentation, because it can't be documented traditionally. It's not about rules, it's about relationships between factors most engineers don't consider. Like what? Like how the university district moves different during finals week, even accounting for reduced traffic volume, because student stress changes pedestrian patterns. Or how the warehouse district needs different timing after midnight because late shift workers drive different than day shift workers. Her face went pale. That's impossible to systematize. Not impossible, just beyond conventional approaches. I closed my notebook. Which is why you're failing. So you'll help? Haven't decided. What would it take? I studied her. This woman who'd so confidently stepped into my position, who'd dismissed years of my work with casual certainty. Truth, I said finally. Before I help anyone, I want the board to understand exactly what happened, how my system works, why it failed under your management. Full accountability. She went pale. You want me to admit failure publicly? I want honesty from everyone involved. Rachel will never allow it. Then the city stays broken. I stood to leave, but Lindsay reached across the table. What if I tell the truth? At tomorrow's board meeting, without Rachel's approval? I paused. Why would you do that? Because you're right. Because I was wrong. Because this isn't about careers anymore. Next morning, I put on my best suit and drove to Urban Flow Dynamics like I still worked there. Security looked surprised, but didn't stop me heading for the executive floor. Board was already assembled in the main conference room. Through glass walls, I could see Rachel at the head of the table, gesturing confidently. Lindsay sat to her right, staring at her hands. I didn't enter. Settled into a chair in the waiting area, directly in Lindsay's line of sight. When she looked up, our eyes met. Something passed between us. 10:15 a.m., Rachel was projecting charts showing system failures, explicitly blaming my experimental methodology. Then Lindsay stood up. I leaned forward, watching her lips as she spoke. Board members' expressions shifted from attention to surprise to shock. Rachel tried interrupting, but the chairman silenced her. Lindsay kept talking, occasionally glancing toward where I sat. Whatever she was saying wasn't the story Rachel had prepared. At 10:37, the boardroom door opened. Security approached me. Mr. Rodriguez, the board requests your presence. I nodded, stood, and followed him into the lion's den. Thanks for joining us, the chairman said carefully. Ms. Brooks has been sharing some illuminating information about your traffic system design. She suggests current failures aren't due to flaws in your design, but rather misapplication of standard algorithms to your adaptive architecture. I nodded but stayed quiet. She further suggests you alone understand how to operate the system properly, and that your termination was premature. I looked at Rachel, whose face had gone red. Premature is an interesting word for firing the one person who understood the multi-million-dollar system you contracted to deliver. The situation's critical, the chairman continued. The city's threatening legal action. We need solutions. I agree, I said calmly. Which is why I've accepted a position as direct technical consultant to the mayor's office, effective immediately. Room erupted in confused murmurs. Chairman banged his gavel. You've what? Rachel sputtered. The city exercised its right to independent expertise when the primary contractor failed to deliver functional infrastructure, I explained. Mayor Rivera appeared in the doorway with her legal counsel. As of 9 a.m., we formally notified your company of material breach. We're engaging Mr. Rodriguez directly. This is highly irregular, the chairman said, his expression dark. So was firing the creator of a proprietary system without ensuring knowledge transfer, the mayor replied smoothly. My system will be fully operational within 72 hours, I added, under my direct management with my own team. Your team? Rachel laughed harshly. You don't have a team. I will, I countered, starting with Stephanie, who I'm hiring away from you. Effective today, along with any other engineers who understand the value of adaptive thinking over conventional approaches. The revenge I'd planned, the moment I'd imagined since being marched past that champagne toast, wasn't what happened next. It wasn't watching Rachel sputter ineffectively or seeing the board realize their catastrophic error. It wasn't even the mayor's perfectly timed entrance. The real revenge came 48 hours later when my restored system silently, elegantly resumed functioning across the city. When emergency response times dropped back to record lows. When traffic flowed like water finding its natural course. Look, I won't lie. It felt good watching Rachel's face when the mayor held that press conference. The innovative technical approach pioneered by municipal consultant Austin Rodriguez will become a model for cities nationwide. That part was sweet. But here's what really mattered. That first morning when everything was running smooth again, I got a call from a paramedic named Tony. He'd been driving ambulances for 12 years. Don't know who you are, he said, but whatever you did to fix the traffic system, thank you. Yesterday we got to a heart attack victim 6 minutes faster than we could have last week. That guy's alive because of those 6 minutes. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about beating Rachel or proving Lindsay wrong. It was about building something that actually mattered. Within a week, job offers flooded my inbox. Companies who'd never heard of me suddenly recognized my genius. Industry recognition, consulting fees that tripled my old salary. All nice, sure, but not the point. The point was what happened a month later. I was walking past Urban Flow Dynamics on my way to City Hall. Yeah, I had an office there now, heading up the new Municipal Innovation Department. Through the lobby windows, I saw moving boxes and empty desks. The city contract had been their main revenue source. Without it, they couldn't survive. Near the entrance stood Rachel, watching her company crumble. Our eyes met through the glass. I didn't smile or gloat, just nodded once and kept walking. My team was waiting at City Hall. Stephanie had jumped ship the day after the board meeting, brought 2 other junior engineers with her, smart kids who understood that adaptive thinking beats rigid rules every time. We'd also recruited Maria Santos from the city's transportation department. She knew the streets like I knew the code. "Austin," Stephanie said when I walked into our new office, "we got the preliminary data from the Portland pilot program. They want to implement our system citywide." Portland, Seattle. Then Phoenix called. Turns out, once you prove something works, everyone wants it. But you know what the best part was? Teaching these kids what I'd learned over 15 years. Not just the technical stuff. Anyone can learn code, the real knowledge, how to see patterns in chaos, how to trust your instincts when the data doesn't tell the whole story. Traffic isn't just about moving cars, I told them during one of our weekly brainstorming sessions. It's about moving people. And people are complicated, unpredictable, human. You can't solve human problems with pure logic. Maria nodded. Like how the downtown grid needs different timing on game days, even when we account for extra traffic volume. Exactly. Because when people are excited about something, they drive different, walk different, make different choices. These weren't just employees, they were protégés. The next generation who'd take this work further than I ever could. 6 months after the whole mess started, I got an unexpected visitor at City Hall. Lindsay Brooks knocked on my office door looking nervous. "Austin, got a minute?" I gestured to a chair. "What's up?" I wanted to apologize, properly this time, and to ask if you might have room for someone who's learned that conventional approaches aren't always the answer. I studied her. She looked different, less polished, more real somehow. What happened to the MBA confidence? She laughed, but not in a happy way. Turns out confidence without competence is just arrogance. I spent 3 months watching everything I thought I knew get proven wrong. And now? Now I'm working part-time at a small consulting firm trying to learn traffic engineering from the ground up. No shortcuts, no assumptions. Starting over. I respected that. Takes guts to admit you were wrong and start over at 29. "We might have a junior position opening up," I said. "Entry level. You'd be working under Stephanie, learning the fundamentals. Interested?" Her face lit up. "Seriously?" "Seriously. But understand, this isn't about redemption or second chances. It's about whether you can contribute to something bigger than yourself." She nodded. "I understand." That evening, I called my daughter Jessica. She'd graduated from college last year and was working as a teacher in Denver. "Dad, you sound different," she said. "Happy different." "Yeah, I guess I am. Mom told me about the job situation. Sounds like it worked out. Better than worked out. I'm building something that matters, something that'll outlast me. I'm proud of you, Dad, for not just getting even, but for making something better." After we hung up, I walked out onto City Hall's roof deck. The city spread out below, traffic flowing in smooth patterns, red lights and green lights pulsing in rhythm, emergency vehicles gliding through gaps that opened just when they needed them. My city, my system. But more than that, my legacy. Because the best revenge isn't destruction. It's not even success, though that's part of it. The best revenge is building something so good, so essential, that it changes the game entirely. Rachel had called my work a mess. Turns out she was right about one thing. It was messy, complex, adaptive, constantly evolving. Just like the city it served. But that's what made it beautiful. That's what made it work. If you've made it this far in my story, you know what it feels like to be underestimated and then vindicated. Sometimes the best response to being thrown away isn't anger. It's showing them what they lost. and building something even better from the pieces they didn't want.